Now it's time for our last race for Junior Rotax. It's the Day 2 final. Here is your starting grid. Kasper Schulmans and Matej Denkovic will line up on the front row ahead of Thijs van Wijk and Boluet. Thomas Ingram Hill and Boris Maximov will line up on row 3 ahead of Timo Jungling, Olivier Jonkers, Mika van der Pavert and Max Cuthbert completing the top 10. Max Sadurski will be joined by Hein Bourguignon from France on the 6th row ahead of Ruben Verheyen and Krik Knoren. Zach Heslop, Luca Moulard, Dave Stevens, Callum Sims, Kenneth van Markerke and Hugo Lacroix round out the top 20. James Anagnostiadis, Pierre Devaux, August Raver, Leopold Fermin and Sebastian Koch round out the 25-strong grid. Well, there seems to be a little bit of a drama on one of the laps here. Now that is Boluet due to start on the outside of row number 2. So he'll now be able to retake his position on the grid. There's a bit of a scare before a final there, but so from 13 minutes plus an additional lap in the pre-final, we go to 15 minutes plus an additional lap in the final at this 1,450 metre circuit here at Racing Kart JPR in Ostricourt. And after this, we'll have 2 more races, a total of 20 over the course of the weekend. The drivers now come through the final corner. The revs start to build, they accelerate. Are we ready? Are we steady? The final gets underway right now. Good start by the front row as they hustle their way through into turn number 1, 2, 3 abreast. Everyone trying to neatly make it through. There's 2 or 3 that have just gone a little bit wide on the entrance into the corner. Schulmans leads the way. Van Wijk is in second at the moment as they filter their way through into turn number 3. 3 wide towards the back end of the field. Looks like Anagnostiadis was towards the outside and someone's looked, it's nearly 3 abreast at the back end of the field. They look to have all gotten through, have they? Yes or no is the answer. Well, it looks to be yes as everyone's making their way through to the top right-hand corner of this part of the circuit. Schulmans is building a lead. It's about 4 to 6 kart lengths. As we head into the right-hand hairpin, Jungling looking up the inside of Radenkovic, who fires it up the inside of Thijs van Wijk. And that was a change from 2nd to 4th for the 2:46. Radenkovic got through, and then Jungling quickly followed suit. Schulmans leads the way after the opening lap. And behind Van Wijk are the likes of Maximov, Van der Pavert, Sadurski. Louette's dropped all the way down to 19th. So he was one of the drivers that went a little bit wide going through into the start. If you're on the outside line going into that fast right-hander at turn 1, you are at the mercy of those towards your inside trying to fire it up through there. And now Timo Jungling needs to do something and quickly get past Matej Radenkovic. But that's going to be easier said than done for the 265 from Dan Holland Racing, representing the United Kingdom. Family originally from Germany. Timo and brother Ralph also have competed in other national championships, including Honda Cadets, and they both were running at the same squad in the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. Max Sadurski briefly sticks a nose towards the outside of Mika van der Pavert. Sorry there, Ralph. I know you were up in the last race, mate. Nice tan, by the way, earlier on. But Timo Jungling gets through for second on Matej Radenkovic. Now the hunt to try and chase down Kasper Schurmans begins in earnest. But if they continue fighting like this, Jungling loses second, loses third, could lose fourth very shortly, but he manages to squeeze in front of Mika van der Pavert. Max Swiderski is just behind them. Krit Knorden is also in the fray, but they've also got to watch out for those drivers closing on them from behind. And that's going to be the likes of Ryan Bourguignon, Ruben Verheyen, Zach Heslop, Dave Stevens, Hugo Lacroix. And at the moment, Bolowet has now recovered to 17th. He's about 4.5 tenths of a second ahead of James Anagnostiidis from Australia as the field makes its way through. They're all jockeying for position. Well, as Maximov sends it up the inside of Max Swiderski, so does Krit Knorden. So they are changing positions, hand over fist. Kasper Schurmans the fastest out there, but not by much. Side by side into turn number one, and that was more than likely Dave Stevens having the likes of Hugo Lacroix and Ruben Verheyen going up the inside. They're going to go through. They're all squirming under braking. Heading into turn number 3, too wide. Bolowet up the inside with the 245 of Ruben Verheyen. Can't get through. Trying to keep it pinned to the outside. Oh! And that was on, more than likely, Olivier Jonkers. And Jonkers has just lost another place to Anagnostiidis. 11 minutes and 10, or just over 11 minutes left remaining in this final. And Matej Radenkovic is trying to close on in to the like of Thijs van Wijk, who's got back into third position. Well, it is now second, it's now fourth position. Going to close in on Timo Jungling, who rounds out the top 3. Right, drivers behind Schurmans are starting to respond. Most significantly, Max Swiderski in 8th. 58.740 is the lap time by the 222. And oh, this is getting a bit sketchy, a little bit close for comfort. Oh, Ruben Verheyen is off the track. I think James Anagnostiidis was slightly up his inside, and Verheyen rejoins, and he loses a bag full of time and a bag full of positions in the process. Oh, and Thomas Ingram Hill, I've just noticed, has not gone past sector 3 and not completed the 4th lap of racing. So Thomas Ingram Hill's weekend, which was looking very, very strong indeed, might have just hit a big old roadblock. Max Swiderski through on the inside of Krit Knorden. That's for 7th. Ryan Bourguignon just behind them. Well, Ingram Hill has pulled it into pit lane. That's a real shame for the 227 from DHR. But still a 3-way scrap between Krit Knorden, Max Swiderski, and the 246. That's Thijs van Wijk. So now Swiderski finds himself in what will be, more than likely, but there was another opportunity to make an overtake, and Swiderski looks to have dropped down a couple of positions. He's just behind the 228. That's Bourguignon. Knorden is just up ahead as well. So got a lot. They've got to sort of be very strategic. You don't need to go full push. But in the meantime, Kasper Schurmans' lead has just had 3/10 of a second knocked out of it by Matej Radenkovic. Bolowet in 13th, now running on a 58.2. Change again. Bourguignon up the inside of Knorden. Swiderski now behind them. I imagine that's probably going to be Zach Heslop in the number 297. He's just behind them as well. Oh, that was threading the eye of the needle, wasn't it, Krit Knorden? Right up the inside of Ryan Bourguignon, and the French driver had no real opportunity to respond to that one. Meanwhile, heading back to the front end of the field. Well, that gap was 0.88 at the beginning of lap number 7. However, Matej Radenkovic has started to chop away at the gap that the 240 of Kasper Schurmans has at this moment, with 8 minutes still to go. Gap now down to just under 0.6. Timo Jungling has got the fastest lap of the race, and that is Leopold Fermin from France out of the race. More than likely, yellow flags are waving. And I don't think that cart is going to go any further. So they're trying to push, and the cart's not moving at all. Might have a lot rear axle, possibly. And, hello, Carol Stout. I know you and the family watching. Very big hello to you guys over in Switzerland. And great efforts in the FIA Academy Trophy this year, I must say. So, 7 minutes and 25 seconds still to go on the clock. And Leopold Ferman's car is stuck where it is at the moment. So yellow flags will be waving. There'll be no overtaking up that part of the circuit. The drivers will start to come across the start-finish line. Shawman still leads. His lead is now 0.525. James Adagnostiidis now has got himself into 12th position. And he's also, 1 lap ago, posted the fastest lap of the race. He's got past Bo Louette. More importantly, Louette was starting 4th, had a spin on the formation lap. I think that might have overcooked his tyres ever so slightly and scrubbed them a bit too much. And maybe a flat spot might be there. But it's all dependent on what happens in the next 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Yes, I'm very well, thank you very much, Carol. Hope you and your mum and dad and the dogs are all doing all okay over in Switzerland. 6 minutes and 20 still to go. And things are very much undecided. Kasper Schauman's not getting away, but the gap now between him and Matej Radenkovic and Timo Jungling and Thijs van Wijk is now just under 9/10 of a second. Max Swiderski looks up the inside and fires it through past Krit Knoren. Meantime, change for second. Timo Jungling through on Matej Radenkovic. Gap between first and second. Last time around was just 0.47. Radenkovic goes for the lunge up the inside, through into the next left-hander. Off of the short shoot down the middle part of the circuit and gets back through on Timo Jungling. Van Wijk nearly had a chance and an opportunity to get through. I think the chess moves have yet to be fully played out on the board. A bit further back, Max Swiderski leading a little bit of a train as Schauman continues to lead the way on lap 11. Radenkovic, Jungling, Van Wijk, Van der Pavert, Maximov, Swiderski, Knoren, Bourguignon and Heslop ran at the top 10. We've had 2 retirements, Thomas Ingram Hill and Leopold Ferman, as there is a change between Boris Maximov, and also Mika Van der Pavert. Van der Pavert now retakes 5th position back as Maximov launches it up the inside. Oh, Van der Pavert just wide. No contact between the pair and loses that position all over again. Van der Pavert just closes in, puts it past Maximov and then runs wide going through into the next left-hander. A bit of love in the chat for Pierre Devaux. He's currently running in 22nd position in the 293. Still got 23 runners and riders. And the gap is now starting to expand. Bo Louette, a new fastest lap of the race. Just a few moments ago, Louette put it in with a 57.727. He's currently running 11th ahead of Dave Stevens and James Anagnostiadis, Olivier Jonkers and Max Cuthbert, who complete the top 15. Callum Sims just crosses the line. He's still the last of the 23 runners and riders who are all on at the same lap. The entire field covered by just over 24.4 seconds. There's now Van Wijk up the inside of Jungling for 3rd place through into the hairpin at the top right-hand part of the circuit. And Thijs van Wijk gets through for 3rd place. But Schauman's just trying to keep that gap pretty much the same. It's just under 0.6 of a second. But Schauman's is now starting to respond. He's putting in some quicker lap times. Is the number 240. Gap just under 0.6. Krit Knoren And also Hyam Bulguino trying to put the frightness on Max Swiderski. Max, one of the other drivers in this field, along with the likes of Boris Maximov that have moved up from Mini through into juniors this year. .5 minutes to go. Plus 1 lap. It is anybody's guess as to whether some of the battles will become a bit of a stalemate, or will it be checkmate? In reference to the chess, the chess reference, chess point analogy that I put down a little bit earlier on. Kasper Schurmans, what's his lead? 0.4. Right, we have a race on our hands for the victory. Kasper Schurmans has taken 2 already this weekend. James Anagnostiadis, who's currently P12, took the final yesterday. But can somebody else make it 3 different winners from 4 different races so far this weekend? I'm going to hazard a guess, and I might have to say that the answer could be a potential yes, but I'm not going to say completely that yes, it's going to happen, because if someone wants to say to me, who's going to win this? I'll just say pick any one of the top 4. That's the easiest conclusion, the easiest answer that you can give, and someone will probably say, yes, you're sitting on the fence on that one, but I like unpredictability, so by doing that, you're sort of covering all the bases in that respect. But with just under a minute and a half to go, Kasper Schurmans is now going to bring us on to the start of lap number 15. And after lap 13, Thijs van Veek put in the fastest lap of the race out of anybody. Oh, there's the move for the race lead. And a bit deep goes Matej Radenkovic, and he's going to lose. He's going to lose what was the lead, and in one position he goes from second to first to fourth. That's how quickly things can change at the drop of a hat. Jungling now goes for second, through on Van Veek. Radenkovic gets through on the 2:46 and moves up back to 3rd place. Now, again, another change for 2nd position. They've got to stop scrapping. Schurmans is getting away. And those 2 moves between Matej Radenkovic and Timo Jungling, I think, might have just cost them the opportunity to go to the victory, because the gap was 3/10. It's now over a set. It's now nearly 1.3 seconds. They lost a second by battling right at the last moment when they didn't need to. I know in karting you're trying to one-up the opposition, but when you've got a chance and you're 3/10 off of the race lead, yeah, you're going to defend, yeah, you're going to fight hard, but Schurmans now really is starting to reap the rewards of this, as he has got a carte blanche. Oh, problem there for Timo Jungling. He drifted wide coming through the middle straight on the circuit. He drifted wide coming through the first left-hander, and then all of a sudden Matej Radenkovic and Thijs van Veek managing to get through, and will round out the top 3. Timer has officially expired in this last junior Rotax race of the weekend here at Austricourt in France for the penultimate round of the season. Last lap board of the weekend for junior Rotax. And now the final 1.45 kilometres is being covered as we speak. Schurmans has a lead of 2. It went from 3/10 to 1.3 seconds, and now it's gone up another 8/10. 2.1 seconds between Radenkovic in 2nd position, Schurmans in 1st. Zach Heslop looks to have pulled the cart in the pit lane. That's a real shame for him. Was running at the bottom part of the top 10. But there is one driver that really has done a very good job, and Kasper Schurmans really puts himself up the order, because he wins in fine style in the final on Sunday afternoon. Schurmans wins by 1.7 seconds ahead of Matej Radenkovic. Thijs van Veek, Timo Jungling and Boris Maximov complete the top 5 positions in that race. Mika van der Pavet in 6th ahead of Krik Knorren. Then it's Max Swiderski, Hyam Bulguino and Australia's James Anagnostiadis that completes the top 10. Olivier Jonkers, Max Cuthbert, Dave Stevens, Sebastian Koch, and Luca Moulin round out the top 15. Kenneth van Mokerke, I think, might have just taken his best finish of the weekend so far in 16th. Auguste Reber, Hugo Lacroix, Pierre Devaux, Ruben Verheyen complete the top 20 with Boluet. It's been a weekend for the 224 to be completely honest. Finishes 21st. 22nd, Callum Sims with Zach Heslop retiring with 3 to go. Leopold Fermen on lap 6, and Thomas Ingram Hill, the biggest casualty of all, retiring on lap 3. But Schurmans goes away from Austriacul with the wind beneath his wings and the opportunity to go for the title at Genk in just under 50 days' time.